All right. What we're referring to is Alice today is going down to what's it called? Margaritas to take the Taco Gigante challenge. See if she can be a Taco Gigante champion like I am. And I think you'll be able to do it, Alice. I think you'll be able to.
Thank you for your vote of confidence. Well, but because I asked right before the show if we were going to do it, and it seemed like it wasn't coming together to do it, I had some chicken that I wouldn't have eaten if I knew that we were going to do a Taco Gigante food challenge. So I was sabotaged. So if I can't do it now, it's your fault.
Good, perfect. I knew it was going to be my fault anyway, so now at least we've got a built-in reason.
Well, don't tell me that we're not going to do it if we're going to end up doing it.
I didn't tell you that we weren't going to do it because I didn't know whether we were going to do it.
I was starving and I was like, are we going to do this or not? And you were like, I don't know.
That's right.
Like, so I took that as it wasn't happening.
Right, but I didn't say it wasn't happening. I said I don't know.
Yeah, but you said it in a defeatist way, like it wasn't going to happen.
I said it in
well, I don't know if it's going to happen. Like, it was like that type of I don't know. So I felt that meant eat some chicken if you're starving so you're not in a raging bad mood on the podcast.
100% of the reason that I am still married to you is that you're attractive. You're a fucking monster. Ugh. Okay. So let me move on to
Dave from Florida says hi from the only Burn Barrel viewer to say hi to Tom in the wild and not get a shout out.
Oh yeah,
you never did give Dave from Florida.
I certainly told 136 people.
You told me that you got spotted.
Sometimes
by
I forget
stuff
before it goes to before I get there. And also Alice also Alice also met a person too, and things were fluid. Last week. But thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you.
Great seeing you. Thank you.
And it was nice seeing the other gentleman who also asked me if I was Donna in person.
Yes.
So that was also I was very confused and awkward. So I'm sorry. Yes. I apologize for being weird. I'm a weirdo in real life. I'm sorry about that.
That
I
is
apologize.
Correct. As evidenced by the last 4 minutes. That is correct. So let's get to I haven't heard this yet, but Kamala Harris was on Call Her Daddy. I don't know. So this is what they're doing here. The campaign has made some decisions. Okay, James, can you let the pepper out? The campaign has made some decisions.
Right. Well, So
she's going on a tour now. She's going to talk to Howard Stern. She's going to go on The View. She's going to go on MSNBC. And she was with Call Her Daddy girl yesterday, whoever that is, the lady who
Alex
Cooper, right? Bennett?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bennett's the other one.
Okay. So they're putting her on the soft interview tour. Today they brought Tim Walz.
But can I add something to that quickly, which is that and part of this is that they have been struggling with the fact that Trump has been going out there and doing a lot of these YouTubers and other sort of edgy online interviews, which, I mean, and I think Call Her Daddy is an odd choice for a few reasons. So I get that it's it's younger viewership than ABC News. Right.
Oh, totally.
But it's not necessarily young viewership in the way that a Mr. Beast interview would be younger viewership. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Or in the way some of the ones Trump has done. Right. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know Alex Cooper's interview or whatever. I don't know her demographic numbers clearly, but and she's super popular, so she has a huge audience.
Yes.
It's like going on Rogan for whatever that audience is, but I tend to think it's more like millennials and Gen X than it is Gen Zers listening to Call Her Daddy. I could be wrong, but I think it's more a millennial thing. It doesn't seem like Gen Z type of feminism.
Well,
more so than I think it's people more my age, because that's more her age, right? Isn't she around my age? Maybe a tiny bit younger, but
I think that it's skewed for certainly younger for men, I would think, than for women.
But it's this is Barstool audience, right? This isn't and it's women, right? But it's not necessarily I mean, I have one sister who's a millennial and one sister who's clearly more of a Gen Zer culturally.
Right.
I don't think that. I think the older sister is the one who would listen to call her daddy, right?
Right.
So, like, I think it's an odd choice culturally. I also don't think that it's like Trump has given Kamala, in particular, because he does a lot of these very online interviews, Trump has given Kamala a really bad problem with men. And I think picking Tim Walz has given Kamala a bad problem with men. Male voters do not like her. They are off-put by her, and they are off-put by Tim Walz. And I don't necessarily know that Call Her Daddy is a great audience for getting her more credibility with men. Do you?
No, it's a slut celebration show.
Especially because
that's people should know. This is a show that celebrates just being slutty and talking like women who would talk about gritty sexual stuff like guys would.
Right. So Dave in Florida says it's all about the abortion vote, which like I could see that because I do think that's like a very kind of millennial and Gen X woman type of issue. But I don't think it solves her problem with male voters. And I think that it plays into the very specific, and I haven't heard it yet. You're going to play some of these clips, which have just started coming out. I think it plays into her problems as a candidate, right? Like that she's unserious, that she's a chick, that she has this laugh, that she's like dopey and cringy and has these cringy answers. But let's hear some of it because I want to judge based on like what she's actually like.
Well, but also I just want to say something. She also did this. She taped this a day when the spotlight of North Carolina was pretty sharp,
right?
And so she's hanging out with this slut podcast, which is a little odd. A lot of people would probably just not go on this podcast because it's a show about being slutty. But I mean, in graphic. Because you would think that maybe a president, her thing is she's supposed to have some stature, be presidential sober,
Well, right. And that's like the knock on her is that people feel that she's unserious.
Well, yes. And there also is.
And we don't do that much on this topic, but like people do talk about like how she got to prominence in politics and all this stuff. Like, why associate her more with that?
Right. And so somebody posted a screenshot that shows the Call Her Daddy episode in the Twitter feed. Sorry, the podcast feed from Call Her Daddy. So this one reads Vice President Kamala Harris. Last one says Remy Bader, don't call me body positive. The one before that says Heather McMahon, blowjobs, hall passes, and frat daddies.
Right.
So that's great. This is where you are. You're in with these people. I mean,
they are pro-abortion, I assume.
Yes.
So
the other thing is, of
that
course,
works for you.
The other thing is, of course, that. Yeah, but I mean, obviously the Democrat has the pro-abortion vote locked up. You don't have. Well,
yeah, but you can like get some enthusiasm amongst people who maybe weren't going to vote, and you can like get them to see that Trump's going to put you in Handmaid's Tale, and Kamala loves your abortion and thinks you're awesome for having one.
Right. So gum chewing easy chicks are now going to have the words Project 2025 in their brains.
What made you want to do Call Her Daddy today?
Well, I think you and your listeners have really got this thing right, which is one of the best ways to communicate with people is to be real, and to talk about the things that people really care about. I mean, what I love about what you do is that your voice in your show is really about your listeners. Ooh. And I think especially now, this is a moment in the country and in life where people really want to know they're seen and heard and that they're part of a community, that they're not out there alone. And so I'm really glad to be with you.
It's amazing because she might as well, be with, be going head to head with Ben Shapiro.
Right. She's outwitted by Alex Cooper without trying.
Yes. That is not great that she doesn't have just a fluff answer.
Daddy gang, to put it in our TikTok terms, I have seen girls on the street walk up to men and be like, do you know where a tampon goes? Right. Do you know how many tampons we use? Do you even know do you know what a X or Y or Z is of a part of our, and they don't know the answer.
I was the first vice president or president to ever in office go to a reproductive health care clinic ever.
Oh, I thought that could have been worse.
I mean, daddy gang, to put
I
it in
that could have been worse.
our TikTok terms.
Hold on. So yeah, it's not a good place for her to be, unfortunately.
Well, and here's the thing: is Kamala's not actually wrong that what appeals to people about the Call Her Daddy show is that it's real. Somebody obviously workshopped and thought about that line, but unfortunately they didn't think about the fact apparently that Kamala Harris is the most not real candidate out there politically at all. She couldn't come up with a genuine answer to a question if her life depended on it. She is incapable of being genuine. I mean, look at her, this clip of her with the Hurricane Helene victim lady.
Yes. Okay.
When she's talking to the woman, Kamala Harris is incapable of acting real. She just makes stuff up every time in the most softball interviews. Do you remember in 2020 when she was, or 2019 or whenever that was, when she was on with the Breakfast Club people, and
yes.
she was like, "Oh yeah, I was listening to Tupac and whenever," and Tupac wasn't a thing then. And I was smoking weed and I was doing this, and she's just making stuff up to try and impress the audience because she's incapable of being real.
Well,
that's why this was a bad show for her to be on.
And
I mean, any show would be a bad show for her to be on.
Trump BS's because he tries to win every room.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to survive every room, and it's not a strong look. It's absolutely terrible. Here's her with the hurricane victims trying to talk.
Well, Trump also is honest.
Yes.
Trump, when he's on with what's the comedian guy, the conservative comedian guy that Ian's on, that he was asking
the
him
guy with the
about,
mullet.
Yeah, what doing cocaine's like or whatever, and he was saying, he was asking him oh, what's that like doing cocaine? Is it like this? Is it he didn't go in there and be like, oh yeah, I love cocaine too.
No.
He didn't pretend something that he's not. He just asked regular questions that I mean, he is very overly lizard-brained, honest.
Yes.
Weird in those situations, but it's totally genuine with Trump.
What's that been like?
Well, honestly, when we went up the first day, I was familiar because I used to live in Asheville. And we made the first stop in Morganton, and MJ and I drove up, and I was like, where's they drop off? I need to back up where they drop off their supplies. Me thinking that they're going to have all these supplies, and she come out, one of our community members come out, and she was like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad y'all here. Come to find out we were the only one.
Really?
We were the only one, and they had 3 tents.
So they didn't even have a center of where to do it because you were the only one.
We were the only one. They had 3 tents set up outside, and I guess maybe they had about 20 cases of water, and that was it. And what really got me was the 16-year-old daughter came up and seen where we take pads and put 5 or 10 in a bag.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh my God, we got some pads. And it's a female. We know how valuable that is. And she said, because they were in Morganton, not in Asheville, that no one had brought them anything.
Yeah, and I guess that's more of a visual because you can see that she does not know what to do with herself.
She's so uncomfortable in the video. She looks like she wants to disappear while this woman is talking.
Yes.
Zero eye contact, and she's going, she just wants to get out of there. And Morgan says she's ghetto in there, but that's the thing is she doesn't know how to be in uncomfortable situations. She's like, I'm not normally around people like this, and so she's weird and awkward.
Yeah, and even with
Trump can be around regular people, and he's not weird and awkward.
Yes, and I think she knows, and her staff knows that the heat's on whenever she's doing one of these. She doesn't like doing them. She knows that they don't go well, which is why she DD'd. The moment that the black journalist thing was done, she was sprinting out of there. And they're like, "Oh, you want to?" And they were all stunned by it. Yeah. I don't know who she wins with this stuff. She also talked with 60 Minutes. And talked about Netanyahu. They did play this on with Kristen Welker today.
Mm-hmm.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Prime Minister Netanyahu is not
it's bad. I mean,
Well,
she's
Bill-
not, and this, weirdly, this issue is really important to a lot of people on the left because they feel that Kamala is aiding and abetting a genocide. She is not helping with that right now. I mean, and here's the problem for her is they've decided to do a media blitz with her because they're worried. And they've decided to do a media blitz with Tim Walz, too. They put him out there. Oh, do you need me to? I mean, I can send you my audio when I'm done, too. Do you want me to stop right now? Like, not say anything right now? Okay. Hang on. One moment, please.
How long do you have us into here?
Netanyahu is not.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean,
18.
she's
Bill-
not. And this. Or
Aiding
no,
and
sorry,
abetting a
16
genocide.
minutes
She's
on
not
the
helping.
recording.
She's not.
She is not helping, you were just saying, Alice, as a matter of fact. We are back up in full speed ahead.
So here's the problem is that they've decided to go on this media blitz with her and they've put Tim Walz out there for interviews too now because they've heard the criticism from the press and especially regarding his debate performance that they haven't put him out here for any interviews. They've been hiding him now and they've been hiding Kamala. And so they're thinking like we need to now put these people out here a lot. The problem is this is not an exposure issue. It's actually the opposite. The more you put her out there and the more you put him out there, the worse this is going to get for them.
I totally
Every
agree.
time you put them out here, it gets worse. Like their only shot was hiding her until the election. And I do want to play some of the Tim Walz, Shannon Bream stuff. But before we go there, I do want to say that this is super weird because there has been like a weirdly low amount of polling recently. So we talked about like, I was really excited to see what happened with the polling numbers post the Walz-Vance debate because it was a really, really strong debate for J.D. Vance. And, you know, and the media was all saying it. And this was the narrative after the debate was like, Walz not ready for prime time, the school shooters line, these different, like these bad things that came out of it for them. You know, SNL made fun of it. SNL made fun of Kamala regretting the pick and watching it on TV with Maya Rudolph. Like, that's not good. If not NFL. If SNL is making fun of the VP, not like that, they've lost the core audience of this campaign.
Yes.
And
Okay, he's out there. He's doing his thing, whatever that may be.
Okay, come on, just relax. You know, you haven't had a night off in 3 months. Do you want to watch something less stressful like the Menendez Brothers show?
I don't know, Dougie. I kind of wish I had picked Josh right now.
Oh, Josh Shapiro?
No, Josh. Cabernet.
Look, Tim will be fine. It's not like he's going to say something crazy.
I've become friends with school shooters.
She breaks a glass of wine.
yeah, so that's not where you want to be, because people always say this, that sometimes like the media narrative that comes out of the debate matters more than the debate itself because so many more people watch it. Although this debate had high viewership numbers actually, which is not good for a VP debate for Kamala and Tim.
No,
it's not
I
good.
want to say, by the way, that kid, whoever that is, the guy who plays Tim Walz on SNL, did you see any of his?
I didn't, only that one clip that.
He's an Asian guy.
Oh, okay.
He's fantastic.
Oh, is he good?
He is so fantastic.
So-
let me play a little.
But let's move on. Governor Walz, you claimed you were in Hong Kong during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre when you were home in Minnesota. Can you explain that?
So I think what happened is I went to Epcot. You can go around the whole world, and I had a couple in the Germany section, and
This is Jim Gaffigan.
thought I went to China. Anyway, I'm a knucklehead. But I'm sure this guy has some things he'd want to, back out of as well.
He's right about that. That's an area where we have a lot of common ground.
They're having a moment. The spit take.
Why are they friends? Why are they vibing?
Hey, Momala, it's Joe Biden.
I can't talk right now. Tell him I'm not here.
No, like he's in the room.
Oh.
Dana Carvey. I like this SNL ensemble.
You're not here. I'll come back later.
No, Joe. Come in. Have a seat. It's nice and dry.
You've been watching this guy? Come on, Waltz. What's wrong with that guy? He's crazy. Get your facts straight, Jack. You gotta hit him with a no joke. Here's the deal. Let me be clear. Anyway, guess what? And by the way, you should be talking about all the great things we've done. Gas prices down. Border crossings down. Emmys for the Bear down. Everybody get down. Tonight.
No, so, but I guess, like, the broad point of this is that, you know, and somebody in the chat says, Dave and Florida actually in the chat says, Democrats provide so much material for SNL. Like, it's refreshing to see SNL use some of the material that Democrats are providing them.
Yes.
But it also tells you how badly this campaign is going.
Mm-hmm. Because
if you've lost SNL and if they're making fun of your campaign, then you really have screwed up, because they desperately want her to win.
Mm-hmm.
All those people writing
Definitely.
for SNL. So if they can see the humor in how badly Tim Walz did, then you really, like, screwed up. And so the fact that this narrative that came out of the debate was so friendly to J.D. Vance and so bad for Tim Walz, this is not good for Kamala Harris, especially because the thing about her is she's not really a very serious person, and, like, bringing on Tim Walz, Mr. Experienced, serious, moderate governor, was, like, supposed to be, you know, help wreck some of this narrative about her, right? Like, this is why she looked at all the serious white guys for VP, right? Like Josh Shapiro and Mark Giffords or whatever. Is that his name, actually?
No, Gabby Gifford's husband.
Yeah.
Mark, he was on the shows today. We know who he is. The
astronaut.
astronaut.
The astronaut guy.
Brother,
so anyway, this, Julie and Phil say in the chat, astounding they're poking fun at the left. Yeah, it's surprising that that's where they are, and that tells you how bad this was, right? And, like, so I remember saying I was, like, interested to see what the polling was coming out of this debate, because, you know, normally VP debates don't matter very much, but I was intrigued to see if this was going to make a difference, because it really changed a lot of people's perceptions of J.D. Vance a lot. And the media had tried very, very hard to say that this pick was, like, a really bad pick and damaging for Trump, and he's so terrible and his numbers and blah, blah, blah. So, like, taking the edge off that is actually, like, really good for Trump, theoretically. And there's been no polling. We're like a week after the debate.
They're hiding polling.
So I think that some of these organizations may be, and I'm going to try and phrase this in the least possible damning way that I can to give them as much benefit of the doubt as possible. I think some of these organizations get a little gun shy with their polls if they're not seeing the results that they think they should see. And we've talked about this, how, like, every poll contains some degree of opinion, because they're massaging the numbers to try and get the electorate to look like what they think it's going to look like in terms of turnout. You know, they're going to try and get, like, as many of the different age demographics and races and whatever as they think are going to actually turn out on election day. So they're trying to come up with accurate numbers. And if they think, like, if they get a number that's surprising to them and they don't like they can get spooked. If it's different from all the other numbers people are coming out with, they can get spooked and, like, not want to release the results, because they don't want to be embarrassed if they put out an outlier poll. And people like Nate Silver have talked about this a lot, that they need these organizations actually to come out with the outlier polls, because, like, in 2016, that was one of the problems, was news organizations spiked polls if they thought the results, if something was wrong with the results. But when you're dealing with laws of averages, though, it's important, because the news organization doesn't want to be inaccurate, right? So you're always going to have, like, you should theoretically get a range of results, right? Like, if the race is actually 50-49 and places are truly doing true polls, right, with a good random sample, then you're going to get a range of results. Some of the polls are going to be 51-48, and some are going to be 49-49, and some are going to be, they're going to be different numbers, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, they're going to get a range of things. So to average things together, you actually need people who are getting different results to publish their results. But if somebody gets one that's too far outside what sort of the consensus is right now, they're worried that they just like got a bad sample or something, and they don't want to be the one to put out bad numbers and have everybody be like, oh my God, they're so inaccurate. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like,
but that said, Alice, I mean, these people generally are paying pollsters to get on the ground, get out in the field and do this stuff.
Yeah,
and
but they don't.
But in like if it's a news organization, from my own experience being in a news organization, if you've paid for a poll to be out in the field and they are putting together the data,
right,
then you are planning out your coverage, including columns, op-eds to explain why we've come up with this, etc. And the entire thing for a couple of days can be on this. And then of course reaction to the poll can resonate for a few days, and that generates more news. So
right.
I mean,
now, from what I've seen,
spike ones,
but they do it. But they do spike them. It happened in 2016, and like Nate Silver complained about it, and other people do. So all the polling that I've seen recently has been, I mean, I don't know. It's weird. So like, here's one. I'm going through this like a Twitter account that compiles polls, right? So there are ones, but the ones that I'm seeing are from pre the VP debate, so more than a week old, and they seem closer for Kamala nationally than they had been previously, right? So, I mean, I know Rasmussen is a right-wing pollster, but their poll is 9/26 through 10/2, so the week leading up to the vice presidential debate and one day of the so mostly before the vice presidential debate, and I know they're right-leaning, Rasmussen, but they have Trump up 2 nationally.
Gotcha.
Okay. Which for them, though, that is a shift towards Trump over time, even though they are right-leaning. Redfield Wilton, they have Harris 48, Trump 46. That's Kamala up 2 nationally. That's closer than she has been in averages recently, right? The poly market betting market has Trump 51% to win right now. So, which is more than it's been recently. We have in North Carolina, Trump up 4, which that's been a closer state for Trump recently. We have Pennsylvania, the two of them tied, 928 to 929. That's from Sentinel Action Fund. We have Nevada, Harris up 3. Nevada's been a really good state this year for Harris since she got in after Biden got in. Nevada, Kamala up 3. That's more of a left-wing pollster, I believe, but that's 916 to 919. That's 3 weeks old. So, like, who knows what's happening there? Let's see. Texas up 10 for Trump. That's closer than it has been. There's Harris only up 7 in New Hampshire. That's worrisome. Active vote tends to be more left-leaning for Harris, has her only up 2 nationally. Once again, before the VP debate, 925 to 10-2.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying.
National general election. Emerson polling just came out with a poll, but it only goes through 10-1. So 100% before the VP debate has Harris up only 1 nationally. Harris up 1 nationally is an electoral college loss for Harris.
Right.
And that's from Emerson. That's a big pollster. It's 1,000 likely voters. That's, you know, a good pollster, but it only goes up to the VP debate. There's no data after the VP debate. You know, we have Marist poll, NPR NewsHour, another solid pollster, but only goes up until 10-1. This only goes up till 10-1. This is Harris up 2. So I don't want to bore everybody with the poll numbers because I know it's boring to people. But my point is that my takeaway from all that is that before the VP debate, the race was tightening. It was tighter than it had been. It had been getting worse for Kamala after, I mean, the debate was a solid bump for her, I think. But I think the race has been tightening up and Trump has been gaining. Even before the VP debate, Trump was gaining, is my takeaway from those numbers. He is closer than he has been since July, in my opinion, based on the numbers that I'm seeing. And I haven't thrown those into a formal model like Nate Silver does or whoever, right? So, but I think the race was tightening before the VP debate, and there is still no freaking data from after the VP debate, which is so weird to me.
It is. That is absolutely weird. But not every polling organization is going to say, oh, I mean, that would be really...
But you don't want to get accused by everybody on Twitter of being in the tank for Trump, which is like what all these places do.
Let me ask you something, Alice.
All the people saying that the New York Times is like some kind of right-wing Nazi organization or whatever. They're scared of that, actually.
Let me ask you something. Is Boston Channel 5 news director, is he more scared now, or was he more scared in 2016?
They're more scared now because they didn't think in 2016 there was a real chance Trump could win.
Okay, were they more scared in 2020 or 26 or now?
They were. That's tough, but the polls were never this close in 2020. The polls were never this close in 2020. Biden was always up in the polls in 2020 leading up to the election. So I mean, I don't know, but I think if I'm the New York Times or if I'm NPR or whoever, and I did a poll after the VP debate and I show Trump up too nationally or something, that I'm hyperventilating and having a panic attack right now because I'm scared.
Right. Too nationally means
blowout
vote.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. So all these places that have Kamala up only 1 or 2 in the popular vote nationally, that's not good. I mean, 2 points nationally for Kamala means the Electoral College is a toss-up.
Right. So,
up 1 nationally is a loss for Kamala.
So I think the last few days were good for Trump. Obviously, going back to Butler, having Musk there with him.
Oh yeah. I
think are good things. I mean, just the whole story. It's so this guy is so unbelievable, and I'm not just saying like awesome. I'm just saying. It's just such an unbelievable story. This is a
right. We live in incredible times.
This is a screenplay that you could not sell because it's jumping the shark too many times.
Right.
And actually, so was 2016, and so was 2020. I mean, him driving around with COVID and stuff, and and the left's, he's putting
even January 6th.
Yes.
Like the whole thing is unbelievable.
And that's another thing on the Sunday shows. We won't really get to it too much, but. Anytime now you have the anchors and they all this saying, can you say now, honestly, to the American people, can you say now, please, that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? The fact that they're still doing that, and I understand what they are because J.D. Vance danced around it, obviously, because Trump thinks he won. He doesn't want to tick him off, and so he's
and a lot of people think Trump won.
Yeah, a lot of people absolutely think Trump won, and it was an odd night. And if ever anybody was going to steal it, they were going to steal it then. But it's like we'll get to Tom Cotton. They asked Tom Cotton about the stuff. I also want to get to the fact that maybe another good barometer.
We should mention the North Carolina misinformation stuff too.
That's
and
exactly
the TikTok
right.
Video.
That's what I'm getting to it right now. Is that's a good barometer maybe is when the misinformation police start crawling TikToks like our own that got taken down. Which I didn't even know TikTok did that, but they took essentially the promo. It's not even essentially actually.
Yeah, Tom put up a clip of our video from our show, which you guys were all here for, where I was talking about all the stuff people were saying about the rescue efforts happening in North Carolina. That the FAA was
let me put it up
taking people out of the air, threatening them with arrest.
Let me play it and see what happens on YouTube.
Oh, great!
Is it not playing?
It's illegal now. Doesn't work.
Does it not work?
I don't know.
Oh, did I just post a screenshot?
I don't know.
Jesus. Alice.
What? What? Is everything okay?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay, so anyway, I mean, you guys get the idea because basically, this video that Tom posted on TikTok got taken down where I was talking about the stuff that people were reporting about on Twitter, what was happening to them about in North Carolina in these communities where people were doing their own rescue efforts and being threatened. It was actually kind of good to see this weekend Pete Buttigieg and Elon Musk connecting, where Elon Musk was like, he essentially got a hold of Pete Buttigieg to deal with some of the issues that they were seeing because they were, Pete Buttigieg was trying to say this is misinformation. But now you can tell, this is my takeaway, honestly, is they can tell how bad this hurricane stuff is for Kamala, right?
So
because do you know what I would pay right now to know what the internal polling of the Kamala campaign is telling them right now?
Oh, I know.
They've got to be seeing really bad stuff if they're going this hardcore on the misinformation.
Okay, so this is it. This is.
Okay, this is what I said last week. Whatever.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
The government's now going after people. First, I started to see reports that they were confiscating stuff that people were donating at churches. Yeah. On Twitter, people were saying, FEMA was saying, like, no, you can't hand out this stuff, and, like, taking things that people had donated to hand out in their communities before FEMA showed up to decide that they were going to do anything helpful. People were doing stuff on their own, bringing in Starlinks. Elon Musk made Starlink free. People are flying their own choppers in to rescue people because FEMA's nowhere to be found for days and days. And then FEMA shows up and they have Pete Buttigieg out here threatening people not to be flying anything. They're threatening people with arrest.
Is that true?
They're threatening helicopter pilots with arrest for running these missions. They're like, no, you'll be in our way from the FAA.
You freaking serious?
Yes.
I heard that he said no drones. I didn't realize.
He said no drones, but they're threatening like helicopter pilots that have been doing rescue missions like on their own while the government didn't show up. They're threatening them with arrest if they keep flying now that they're on the scene.
I'm threatening you with arrest.
And there's no evidence that any of these people has.
All right, let's see if that gets canceled, Allison.
Okay.
Should we bring
So they're going full misinformation on this stuff because there were reports of this. They sent Buttigieg out there to head off Elon Musk on Twitter to get in touch with him, to like call all this stuff misinformation because they could see that this was getting out there, that there was this terrible response from the Biden administration and that they were screwing up other people's rescue efforts. So they saw this information out there. So now anything you say that's critical of the Biden administration in terms of Hurricane Helene is dangerous misinformation. That's what all the Sunday shows were about. They're taking down stuff on the social networks that says this. Like, you're not allowed to criticize their hurricane response.
No.
That's dangerous misinformation. Because that tells me right there that they're seeing some kind of bad polling numbers. They're hearing bad stuff from focus groups. The response to Kamala on the ground in North Carolina was bad. Like, whatever it is, they're not pleased about it.
No.
And even reactions from some of your relatives potentially might be like weirdly sensitive because they can feel in their hearts that this is not going well.
I completely agree with you. And Tom Cotton was asked about this. This is like every 5 seconds. You can check out the thing I've sent to you in our DMs.
Different. I want to talk about one of the big moments this week from the vice presidential debate. We just played it in the open when Senator J.D. Vance refused to say that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election. I want to put this question to you, Senator, just to put this to rest. Can you say definitively here and now that Donald Trump did lose the 2020 election?
Kristen, Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. It was an unfair election in many ways. I mean, you had states that were changing their election practices or election laws, sometimes in violation of their constitution. You had networks combining with big tech to suppress what we now know to be a truthful story about Hunter Biden's laptop and the evidence that it exposed about Biden family corruption. So obviously Joe Biden was elected president. We know that in part because—
But did Trump lose?
Joe Biden was elected, Kristen. There's a process by which we elect presidents. There's votes in November. You have an electoral college vote. You certify the election, and then you have the inauguration. Joe Biden was elected president. Everything has gone to hell in a handbasket as a result of it.
As you know, though, I mean, it has been stated that this was one of the most secure elections in U.S. history. But
there you
do
go.
you just not want to say that Trump lost? Why not just say the simple—
Kristen,
if Biden is president, can you just simply say Trump lost?
Joe Biden was elected president in 2020. That's why we have runaway inflation. That's why we have more than 10 million illegals in this country. And to go back to the point about the 2020 election, it was very irregular. You had networks, to include this networks, conspiring with big tech to suppress evidence.
He's right about that. And
that's true.
The other thing that you heard every 5 seconds was, you need to stop saying what you said in that TikTok video. You have to stop saying that FEMA was stopping people in pushing back, because then local people aren't reaching out to FEMA. So that's what, and Kristen Welker said the same thing. Margaret Brennan said the same thing. So
dangerous misinformation.
They've gotten a talking point, and they're all acting on it. They're all acting on it.
Right, which clearly comes straight from the Biden administration, straight from the Kamala Harris campaign. That's what they're doing, is they've noticed that the Hurricane Helene coverage has been terrible for Kamala, which it doesn't have to be. We talked about this. I think it's a little distasteful to talk about whether or not hurricanes that destroy people's lives are like good or bad for people's electoral prospects. But that being said, like, Hurricane Sandy was good for Obama in 2012. Like, it just was. That was the consensus at the time. Romney probably would have won if Hurricane Sandy didn't happen.
Yes.
I mean, like, it was a close election that could have happened.
Question. Are we doing the Patreon tonight?
Yes, we should do the Patreon tonight.
Okay,
we have a few
40
more
minutes in.
Okay, so we should jump to the chat, and then let's talk about this more. Okay, big chat, and then we'll get to the Patreon.
Okay. Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah, Mark in the chat says, it has been stated. So there. Like, yeah, it has been stated. This is the most secure election.
I will have you know.
Uh-huh.
No, you know.
I know.
I will have you know that I am actually disappointed by some of you who are listening, and horribly disappointed by Minifans.
Why?
That they didn't sniff out.
Okay, we're not going into that.
Are you sure we can't go into it at all? It's been deleted. It's freaking amazing that this happened. You realize how much trouble I would be in?
You are so... What? Like, you're such a boomer. What is wrong
Can you imagine how much trouble I would be in?
You don't know yet that it's not, though.
That
nobody didn't latch onto it and save it.
I think I know. Whoa, that's a rough one. Oh.
You're such an idiot.
Yeah, I would just say that be careful when you have screenshots.
Make sure you can see what else is in the screenshot before you post it to your Twitter. Thank you,
right.
Thomas.
Especially if you're somebody like me, who
takes risque photos of his wife all the time.
Correct.
Against her will.
Mostly correct. Okay. Here we go.
Hi, this is Tim Walsh from Gloucester.
Wow. What?
I'm a hardcore conservative, except when you play things that shouldn't be said about me.
I don't know.
So I'm a free speech absolutist, except when you make fun of me. So at that point, just shut it off. Shut it off for a month. Shut it off for a month. Yep. I'm very consistent. Very consistent.
I don't know what I don't know what that is whatsoever. I don't
don't think Tim Walz is from Gloucester.
No, Tim Walz is not from Gloucester. No, he's from Nevada or something originally. Somewhere out. Nebraska, maybe.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Tom,
yeah.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Based on the damaged coffee carafe saga on Friday's episode.
Mm-hmm.
Ever heard of Amazon?
Yes.
If you haven't, it's this incredible website where
they sell books, right? I believe they're the big bookseller.
No, and they sell stuff that stores usually don't carry, like a carafe that will fit the coffee machine that you
Steve,
have. I've done this twice myself.
This monster in front of me demanded a carafe immediately. She wanted coffee to be the supply chain to not be any slack at all, and she demanded coffee immediately. So I had to drive before my show.
I do drink more than a pot of coffee a day.
There was no Amazon. Amazon Prime doesn't bring it in 10 minutes.
Self. So, like washing over the years, washing the carafe, like a couple of times it's hit sort of the granite countertop, while washing it in the sink and cracked. You go on Amazon, you look up the exact model, and you'll have your brand new carafe in 24 hours. You don't need to go to Walmart, disappointed, and then, work on your budding career as a shoplifter and abscond with items you didn't pay for. But please do this next time. You can do this for a lot of items. That
actually,
anyway, thank you,
Steve. Actually, you make a good point in the sense that I could have done it beforehand. We could have prepared beforehand.
Okay, or you could have ordered the one on Amazon and then just bought me a few extra large Dunkin' Donuts hot coffees. Oh my gosh, and we have to cover this on the food show because our sweet summer child, James, by the way, today at Starbucks, got caught by the Starbucks size names.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. He was like, I thought I ordered a large. And I was like, no, you ordered a grande.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, doesn't that mean large? And It was like fresh to him.
Oh, they were thrilled. They were thrilled to screw him. No, you say Vente. Well, dude, you lose. You don't speak Italian, you lose. We got a lot of messages, Els.
Hey, Tom and Alice, John and Greenwood here.
Hey,
I have 3 quick things. The first one is a question about Ned Stark, the KMS guy that you mentioned on the show last week. I was just curious if he is named after the Game of Thrones character.
I'm pretty sure.
He's Ned Snark, though.
Right.
Named after Ned Stark from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
But he's Ned Snark because he's snarky on Twitter. Yes.
And the second thing is I wanted to point out something that maybe gets overlooked a lot about Steve from Gloucester. But, you know, in the words of Jen Psaki, he has really done a lot to reimagine masculinity and redefine that for us. So I just thought that, you know, we should give him a little credit for that.
Well,
and the third thing I wanted to mention is that
I believe, and I said this, including, I went on KMS and defended Steve from Gloucester. Steve from Gloucester is more manly than Cinnamon Lords.
Wow.
He's an adult man who, like, makes money and has, like, a child and, like, does adult things. So, I mean, yeah.
What a shot. I do not find him. I do not find him to be. I've met Steve from Gloucester in person.
People may have problems with Steve from Gloucester,
Yes.
but I don't think he's
He's
unmanly.
feminine. No, that's not his thing. As a matter of fact, I think he was thrilled to be up in Portland dancing with the hot blonde from Barstool. And yeah, I don't think that's his thing.
I saw a Trump rally, a walking Trump rally coming up at 11 a.m. next week, Sunday. No, I'm sorry. 11 a.m. on Saturday, the 12th. And it is going to be a walk around the lake in Wakefield.
Wow.
So, sounds cool.
There you go. That
And
does sound
the
cool.
rain date is Sunday at 11. So,
Wow.
Saturday
Very cool.
at 11, Trump rally in Wakefield, walking around the lake. All right.
I
Thank
like
you.
that.
Goodbye.
I like that. We did hear J.D. Vance was in Gloucester this weekend, too, actually.
That's right, from our friend Steve, as a matter of fact.
Hey, Alice, how you doing?
Hey.
I really wish you would consider the word affirmation moving forward when it comes to the burn barrel, because it seems like there is no room for discussion with you when you become so ultra passionate about something, or when you feel
Correct.
like
Obtuse.
you're not wrong.
Yep.
And Minahan does the same thing. You just can't rationalize sometimes with him because he just doesn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, you know, whether you agree or disagree with what Tom did at Walmart,
Yep.
that's your own opinion, but you don't
Well, it's
allow
stealing,
him the opportunity to express himself.
Thank you.
Same thing with like the Taylor Swift stuff from 6 months ago, or
Yep.
my commentary last week where I felt, hey, I think you're inciting the mob at the end
Yes.
of the burn barrel when you're saying that people are attacking me on the chat.
Yep.
It's okay to disagree with me or with Tom or whomever, but there has to be some affirmation that you can at least understand where the other person's coming from.
Yes.
And I just feel like that lack of affirmation is what bothers me. And, you know, if you can just say, hey, I can understand where you're coming from. You may not agree with me. You may not be supportive of my comment, but I can at least put myself in your position and understand that there is food for thought here, and there is something I could consider going forward. That's it. Bye.
Correct.
Wow.
Well said.
Sounds like our marriage counselor.
You and Kirk, two Lexington losers. Right?
I know.
So we have a bunch more messages. We should do the message or the Patreon. We probably shouldn't do them both. If we're going to do the Taco Gigante challenge.
We can't do both. Why can't
I mean, do you want to leave some of these messages and come back to them?
I feel like we should do the messages.
Okay, we'll do the messages and then the Patreon tomorrow.
I hate doing the Patreon during the week. I'd prefer to get it out of the way, but
Let's get it out of the way.
Well, but it's just tougher on
I know.
weeknights.
I know it is.
And then I feel like we're scamming people.
Okay, it's also
I don't want to
6:30.
scam people. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's finish the chat
Okay,
and
do
see
it.
how long this takes.
Okay. Here
Okay.
we go.
We'll make a game time decision.
Tom.
Yes.
People like you are the reason why LL Bean did away with their
Exactly.
returns policy.
Told you. this.
Did they really do away with that?
Yes.
No, you know what? People like
Because there were scammers who were like, every time you outgrow your jacket, you just bring it back and tell them it's broken. They have a lifetime return policy.
my friend, my old friend, who was an incredibly cheap guy, who I've talked about before here as well, like returned a pair of LL Bean boots like 30 years later.
People do that. That's why they had to get rid of the return policy.
That's not what I was doing.
You're a scammer.
I'm a good Walmart patriot, and I simply found out that I didn't want to be the loser that day, and that Walmart would pay it forward, and I would help them pay it forward.
Used to be able to go into LL Bean store wearing a shirt that you bought from there 5 years prior and say, I want to exchange this shirt for a new one. And they would say, sure.
Yeah.
Go pick one off the shelf and just give us the one off your back. That's what they would do until they stopped doing it because, oh, you know what, Alice? Maybe I could take this and put it in the box and then bring it back and then drive it. You know, you would have spent more money driving around and conniving than you would have if you just bought the brand new damn thing.
Incorrect.
Just buy it new.
Just buy one.
Oh.
Yes, we live in a disposable society. There's built-in obsolescence in a lot of things. We just had a standing freezer, you know, the little short ones, 5 cubic feet, you know, hold all your Omaha steaks, not a sponsor product. Put it in there. It died. 4 years. Is it covered under warranty? For the $298, I got 4 years out of it, solid. I'm going to go back and forth with this company. No. I just chuck it, and I get a new one.
Exactly. It's not worth your time.
That's what I do.
To put the effort into scamming them.
Half the problem is dealing with the company. No one wants to do that. The other half is that thing probably should have lasted at least another 3 years before it crapped out. But it's so small, and it's just piddly, to be quite honest.
This is battered wife syndrome, Dr. Cheswick.
What are you going to do?
You have battered...
I'm not going to spend all my time conniving to get a new one.
You have battered consumer syndrome, where you just used to be beat on so much, and you have to take the loss every time something happens. No, I'm standing up. I'm having enough of it. I'm saying, no, I'm sick of wearing big sunglasses to work and telling people I fell down the stairs. No, I'm going to be the winner in this one. And by the way, you've been...
Just buy anything.
Do you notice that Gary went to the restaurant yesterday, right?
But that doesn't help make the case that you're not just a common thief.
You're going to love that cup. You're going to use it. You're going to enjoy it. You love all
Thomas
the
Shattuck stole a cup from Buffalo Wild Wings
yesterday. It's a great cup.
A
There's no way you can call that
soda
stealing.
Cup. You stole a cup from Buffalo Wild Wings.
No way you could call that stealing. I spent almost $300.
Doesn't help make your case that you're not just a thief.
I also didn't spend it, actually. But no, that cup, no. That is advertising for Buffalo Wild Wings. I appreciate them. When they paid it forward by giving me that cup, I am more loyal to them now than I ever will. Be.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
Tom, thank you so much for mentioning the Aussie Minifan show.
Yes.
Or Aussie Minifan podcast at the end of Friday's show. I listened to the segment, and I feel some vindication because internationally now, the two words most frequently used on that podcast to describe SFG were pussy and loser. Thank you. They said it, pal, not me. And by the way,
yes,
you know, I'm married to a psychiatrist, so I guess that makes me a psychiatrist too.
Yeah.
Steve keeps mentioning that my likening to one Frederick Mercury. Well, let me tell you something. Based on some of the messages left, one of us has a very intimate knowledge of Queen's catalog.
I don't.
And it ain't me.
I don't.
So pure projection coming from Gloucester, as usual. Thank you.
I don't believe so, but I don't believe so whatsoever. I do.
Do you remember when Montate said that all the callers to our chat were named Steve?
Yes. Yeah, and by the way, he is. Yes, the Aussie Minifan show is a great show. By the way, these guys are all good. But they may have even mentioned Steve. As a matter of fact, it's funny because Manners doesn't really know us. This isn't three Australian podcasters, but Jamie has been on with us,
right? Yeah,
And-
he's like a burn barrel listener.
And he was
actually.
talking to the other two as if like they remotely could
know
understand
what anything we're talking about.
And they're like,
Like,
yeah.
well, Steve from Merrimack did this and
Yes.
blah blah blah. Like it was, very inside the barrel knowledge.
G'day, Tom and Alice. It's Jamie
go.
from Australia
There we go,
here.
there's Jamie.
One-time Burn Barrel guest.
Fantastic.
A long time ago now, but long-time listener. Never stopped listening. Always been there, lurking in the shadows, much like in the Miniverse. But just wanted to touch on how I'm not sure if it's just me in Australia or a lot of people from around the world, but how important this election is for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
And making the right choice. I don't want to like be that guy who's like, you have to vote Trump, but you know, you kind of have to vote Trump.
Wow, I didn't
Him
even
and
know
Jackson-
Jamie was that big a conservative.
You're right. I don't know if he
person.
always was.
Yeah.
But both him and Jackson. Minners is a socialist. But him and Jackson, both good patriots. Good good conservatives.
Jackson?
The risk of having...
You don't know Jackson?
No.
Jackson's another Aussie. He's the third one.
Oh, he's the third one
Yeah,
from
he's-
the
he
Aussie.
has a-
Yeah,
he has
I don't.
retractable.
I have not listened to as much of that show as you did. You just played me the.
He's
part
got a
that was about the
retractable
chat. Yeah.
Aussie accent. It comes and goes.
Retractable.
He sometimes sounds like he's from like Melbourne, and then sometimes he sounds like he's from like.
But
Woburn.
in that clip that you played, they didn't think that was true. They heard you say
He
that.
does.
but-
No, by listening to the most recent one too, he does. It's amazing.
Kamala which is basically another 4 years of a weak Biden government on the world stage, is too much to. You look at what Russia's doing with the Ukraine, only started after Trump was out, when America was strong.
Mhm.
The same thing with China and their posturing with Taiwan.
Is Jamie allowed to say this stuff in Australia?
Yeah, but that probably does actually affect.
Yeah.
Because that's their region of
Well,
the
no,
world,
I get
the
it, but
Pacific,
you're allowed
right?
to be pro-Trump there. Can't they throw you in lock you in a hotel like they did with Roger Federer or whatever, whoever it was?
At least
No, it's
the
Novak
unrest that's going
Djokovic,
on
the
in there.
Serb, obviously.
All of
Duh.
these things started to happen when America, no offense, but got weak politically. If Kamala is elected this year and she is the president for the next 4 years, I can only see things getting worse. And I know a lot of my friends down under are very worried for the future of not just America, but also the world. Because a strong America tends to keep a lot of countries that like to posture in line. And a weak America, much like it is under the Biden government and what will be the Kamala Harris-led government, is just not good for the world. So, try not to mess it up. I was going to swear there,
We'll
but
try. In
I
our
don't wanna
state,
make
it
extra
doesn't
work
matter
for you, Tom.
much.
But
But
great show. Love the show,
Thank you,
guys.
Jamie.
Always fun listening. Probably leave some more chats as time goes on now. I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but
all right.
now that I know how and it's working all good through my computer, I'll be leaving a lot more.
Here we go.
That's
keep,
great.
Keep up the good work, guys. Love the show.
Let's add to the diversity of accents
Do you
on the
have
chat
any-
chat. We have a diversity of kind of different New England-y,
Yes.
classic like Boston area accents.
You're
on
out
the
of
show,
sisters,
and-
right, Alice?
Yeah, all my sisters are married now.
Do you have cousins, attractive cousins or something, who are American?
In Serbia, my only American cousin's married.
Let's get Jamie citizenship, Alice. But you guys, if you can, the church is full of beautiful Serbian women. Oh wait, they're not. American. They're Americans,
they
though.
need to marry. No,
Oh,
they need to
how do
marry
we-
Americans to stay here. The
It's like a-
attractive Serbian women at church. Yeah.
Oh, or Jimmy, you could also just come through the southern border, actually. So
Yeah, it's open now. So just get it in before Biden and Kamala have to leave.
Hi, Steve from Merrimack.
Hey, Steve.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Did anyone else happen to notice that someone claimed to have left the chat, but then left messages 4 days in a row? That's very queer.
What? I don't know
Thank
what
you.
that means. I don't know.
He means it's an old-fashioned word meaning weird or strange.
Oh, very interesting. Hold on.
Caddyshack 2, Arthur
Terrible.
2, On the Rocks,
Terrible.
Teen Wolf 2.
Terrible.
These are some of the worst.
Teen Wolf 2 starring Jason Bateman, who was
So
actually...
is this all about bad sequels?
Yes, Teen Wolf
Okay.
2 starring Jason Bateman, who was lived in Winchester, and along with
Justine Bateman babysat.
our friend Chris.
Your
Schuler.
friend.
Yep.
Wow.
Made sequel.
Caddyshack 2 was an abomination. That is absolutely awful.
Now joining that list is Joker 2.
That's what I hear.
I'm not going to say the real title because that's French and I don't know what it is. But this will be a case study for years.
Yeah, I heard that.
Who's
I heard
Harley
that.
Quinn in this again? Who are we?
Who's Harley Quinn?
It's
anytime?
unbelievable. Like
Well, what's her name?
the first one had
Robbie
its issues, but it was carried by a
Margot Robbie was in it?
No, she was Harley Quinn before, but now it's somebody else, I think.
I don't know.
It's just a horrible mess of a film. And I could get into spoilers, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I will never see it, so I'm safe.
So, au revoir.
Ooh, there's no French. Matt and Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys. I just wanted you to know,
Yes.
especially you, Alice, when Tom was talking about the Mr. Coffee thief, he cleverly disguised it as a friend.
Yes.
He had me fooled. I actually told him that maybe Alice should pick your friends from now on because your friend seemed a little shady.
No.
And as it is with the people attacking each other on the Burn Barrel podcast, you know, if you guys feel it's over the top, it's your show. You set the
No. Yeah.
Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, I had to. I don't think I'm allowed to use FCC regulated airwaves to promote
theft,
larceny.
So you don't think that's stealing, Tom?
Incorrect. I'm rerouting is what I'm doing.
You're just stealing.
Nope, using policies that are in place.
Yeah, that is.
No.
Are you one of those people who sees a cheaper price on like a sticker like they do have at like Old Navy or something, and then put it on the more expensive item and then go, this is on sale.
So no.
I don't know why it rang up like
Justin,
that.
no, I don't do that. That said, when I see stuff that is marked and I know they've marked it wrong, I absolutely will make that purchase in a second. And I came into a killer ribeye about 2 years ago. It was marked ridiculous. It was marked as if it was chuck steak for like $5, and I think somebody effed this up. And so obviously I'm not blowing the whistle. I'm not letting people know. Alice and I, actually, you were right there, Alice. About 10 years ago, we did a shopping spree where this dude rang us up all our kids' clothes, and in
fairness, and that was like I did try to alert him. I tried to alert him. He rang us up, and then he like screwed up the actual like transaction, and he somehow like voided the whole transaction and like printed the void receipt. And I was like, I think you voided this. I don't think you charged us for anything. And I like showed him my bank account, and I was like, it hasn't hit that account. And he's like, it's just not showing up yet. And I was like, I think it was like $200 of clothes. It was like at Kmart or Kohl's or something. And I was like, you did not charge us for this clothing. And he's like, just give it a few days. It'll show up. It's fine. Like, he just wanted us out of the store. And I was like, I don't think you charged us. And he was like, no, go on. Like, it was the weirdest situation. But he had trouble with the transaction and the register, and he just was done with it.
Yeah, that was a win. Oh, that was a big W day.
Try to get it for the cheaper price, because that's stealing too.
No, it's not, Justin. These are all
the clothes at Kohl's or wherever that was also stealing, but I made a honest, good faith attempt to try and pay for the clothes multiple times and alert them. I did not go back days later because I had young kids and I could not be bothered, but I tried. They assured me that they were billing me for it. So I feel vindicated in that one, but I don't know. Sometimes you do your best. And you can't, like, you try to do the right thing. I try to do the right thing. Unlike some
goodness.
Do I need to go to confession?
I would say so. And for what was posted on the internet, on Twitter today. Wow.
Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We will see you tomorrow.
C'est la vie.